Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I want to show you how to solo Cosmic Run Rapid Fire. In Cosmic Run Rapid Fire, you're going to be playing against an AI opponent, and you're going to be racing to be the first one to get to these 3 planets. So if you're playing against another person, this is a game for 1 or 2 players, there are a couple of different ways that you can compete. So you win if you're the first person to get a ship to each of these 3 planets. However, if because of space mines that becomes impossible, you can also win based on points off of the planets that you do reach and the points that you do get off of these technology trees. However, we're going to be playing against an automated opponent named Zorlord, and Zorlord is going to have some pretty serious advantages over us. If he gets even 1 ship to one of these planets before we manage to get our ships to all 3, he will win. Also, if we end the game successfully, but he has a higher score than we do on the tech tree, then we will still not win because he will be more technologically advanced than we are, and Zorlord just gets to win. So that's actually a pretty challenging run up against an AI opponent, and it's pretty good fun. I'll just give you a tour of this sheet really quick before I zoom out and show you 2, one for me and one for Zorlord. So the way this game works is that most of your action is done over here. You are going to be moving along these paths in accordance with the number of dice pips that you roll on the dice that you draft. You are also, however, able to roll technology dice that give you certain powers. So this one is a missile that allows you to block incoming space mines, which, trust me, is pretty useful. This one allows you to move diagonally, and that can also be pretty great because in the basic rules of the game, you can only move vertically or horizontally, but you cannot move diagonally. So if you get blocked by a space mine or something, you have to actually go around it. You can't just move diagonally, unless, of course, you have the right tech. This is a color change tech advantage, and so what that allows you to do is it allows you to basically treat a blue die as if it were red, a red die as if it were blue, a green die as if it were red, however you want to do it. You can draft any die you want and treat it as any color you want. And this one allows you to basically jump through some space mines. So rather than, try to get a diagonal or go around something that's blocking your path, you can actually just power through it. There are a couple of other little interesting features on here. If you store 2 dice, you can get any tech upgrade that you want. And if you choose to play with rerolls, you can have up to 4 per game. I usually try not to, just because I like the little extra challenge. And then you actually also have up here this little track with mines. At the beginning of each turn, you are going to roll 1, 2, or 3 space mines that can damage your ship. See these hearts up here? Or just block your path depending on where you're at the time that they arrive. If you run out of these turns, you will lose the game against Zorlord. So let's go ahead and play a few rounds to show you how this works. So this one will be me. Let's make this one Zordork. Zorlord, please. So here's me, here's my opponent, and you'll be able to see our different moves as this game progresses. So the first thing we're going to do is have the mine phase. This time we're only going to roll 1 because we are in the turn where you only roll 1 mine. And the only person who's going to be affected by this mine is us because somehow Zorlord manages to avoid all of these inconveniences in his life. So let's roll. Alright, so we rolled an A and a 2. And what that's going to mean is that I am going to black out a 2 on each of these pathways. So here's A and here's 2. Here's A, 2, and A, 2. So as you might notice, there's variety between each of the tracks going to different planets. There's also a little bit of variety on the back. The back is actually different from the front. So you have an A side and a B side for these little score sheets. So now we're actually going to roll our action dice and draft. Of course, in a normal game between 2 players, you would draft just back and forth, but it's going to work a little bit differently in this version. All right, so the die that ends up physically furthest from me, which in this case is going to be this one, is the one that Zorlord takes. The rest are the ones that I get to choose from, but then I have to re-roll. So Zorlord is going to go first. He gets to take 2 on the green path. So Zorlord has begun his journey to another planet. and now I get to choose a die. So the question is, do I want one of these tech dice to block a potential future space mine, or see these ones with 3 pips? 3 pips is pretty good. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take this green 3 for myself so that I can progress 3. So in a game between 2 humans, we would just continue to draft from the same pool of dice. However, since that's not how we're playing, we're actually gonna re-roll the dice that haven't been drafted every single turn. So we're just gonna go ahead and roll again. Oh, and just so you know, so these will get you these missile techs that help block mines. This one, these are just numbers of pips you can move on different color tracks. So 2 green, 2 blue, 3 blue. This one allows you to move 1 and attack. The problem is that I can't really do any damage to Zorlord. It's just that he can do damage to me. So let's really hope that he is not rolling any of these and taking them and attacking me. Because if any of my ships gets knocked out, it's game over. So let's grab these and roll again. Grab a dice tree this time. Uh-oh. Okay, so this time the furthest die from me is gonna be an advance and attack. Thanks, Zorlord. So what's gonna happen is Zorlord is gonna take this die, and that means that he's gonna advance 1 on the red track, and he's also going to take 1 of my ship's health away for my red ship. So I have to be careful about that. If I had one of these missile defense techs, I could have decided to block the move, but I wouldn't have at this stage anyway because it's just too early in the game. You wanna wait until it matters a little bit more. So now I get to pick from what's left. So let's have a look. I don't really want either of these. These are too small. So let's go ahead and just take blue 2, and that's what we're gonna rock for this turn. So I get to go 2 on blue. We have 4 dice left. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this time Zorlord picked up a red 2. So he'll move. Not looking so good for me. And then I guess I'll just take this red 1 since I haven't moved any on the red yet, and I don't want to re-roll. So we're gonna be headed up the red track as well. So now there are 2 dice left, and let's roll them. At the very end of the turn, it's a little bit different. So when you're on your last 2 dice, things don't work quite the same way. All the way up until now, Zorlord was the one who's picking first, and he picked the die that was physically the furthest away from me. But there's gonna be special rules for these last 2. So this time, if I roll a move and attack, Zorlord will automatically take that away from me. However, if I don't roll any attack dice, I actually get to pick first. So Zorlord technically moves first, but I'm controlling who takes what first this time, regardless of distance from me. All right, so this time it doesn't really matter. We each got a green 1. Very exciting. So Zorlord will move 1. I also will move 1 on the green track. And that was our entire turn together. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all these drafted dice back to roll in just a second. And we're gonna have another mine turn. So again, we're gonna roll just 1 mine die. 1 set for 1 mine. Because that's all that we're doing for this turn and 1 more. So this time I rolled a B1. So what I need to block out on my little cards is B1. So we have B1. So that's a bit difficult on my little path along red here. B1 and B1. So that's my current setup. So now we're gonna go back to drafting some dice, and we'll see how Zorlord and I fare this turn. Nope, that one escaped. So unfortunately, the one that's furthest from me is again a move and attack. So Zorlord is gonna move 1, and he's gonna attack my blue ship this time. Yikes, he's aggressive this game. But now I get to pick from one of these dice, and they're looking pretty decent. So let's see, do I want to take a green or a blue? I always go for 3 pips if I can, just because moving is helpful. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and grab the blue. So I'm taking this blue 3, and that means that I get to move up 3 on this blue track. So there's one other rule that I want to discuss because it's the last rule that really matters. After you've watched a couple more of these trains, you'll totally understand how to play this game. But we have to follow something that Zorlord doesn't, that's called the Armada Rule. And what that means is that none of my ships are allowed to get further than 5 spaces ahead of any of my other ships. So right now red is kind of lagging a little bit back here, and we've got to make sure that it moves up at some point because we won't be able to move blue and green anymore if we don't. So right now blue is at 4, so it's 3 spaces ahead of the red and 2 spaces ahead of the green. So I still have plenty of leeway right now. But if I keep taking large dice on these colors and don't keep caught up on my 3rd ship, it's gonna cause me problems because I'm gonna get stuck. So don't forget the Armada Rule as you play out your dice. All right, so it's time to roll a new set. All right, so in this case, it kind of looks like 2 dice are roughly the same distance away from me. What happens when that occurs is you just take the one that's the furthest to the left, and that's the one that Zorlord takes. So I'm gonna say he's gonna take this green 2. He's gonna take green 2. And keep moving up that green track. And then I have some interesting choices. So I don't really like any of these dice with these low pip numbers. I don't think that's worth it. However, I do have some interesting tech options. I can either take a color change, which means I can treat a die as any color that I want if I use it, or I can take this missile and protect myself from future attack. Ooh, I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab the protection and just try to save myself from future pain. So what that's gonna mean is that now that I've taken it, I'm just gonna put an X in this circle for now. That gives me 1 point. At the time that I use the missile, I'll actually fill it in so I can't use it extra times because you only get it once. So I score for it permanently for the game. I get to use the power 1 time. And that was my first tech, anyone's first tech for this round. So let's draft again. Let's move this up. All right, so this time the furthest die away from me is a red 1, and that is what Zorlord will take. So Zorlord's gonna go 1 up the red track. As you can see, he's starting to move pretty quickly, and it's a little scary, to be honest with you. I get to pick something, oof. So here's the Armada problem. I can't take this blue 3 because that is not gonna be, it's gonna be too much movement. I can, however, take this blue 2. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. I'm gonna take the blue 2, so I can advance the blue as much as is legal right now. So just to check again, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're good, but we are at the limit. So now there are 2 dice left. If we roll an attack, Zorlord will automatically take it. If not, I get to choose who gets what. Ooh, okay, so we both got tech. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna give him the missile. I'm gonna give me the color change because I'm gonna need it to make sure that my red dies, or I'm not getting enough red right now, so I'm gonna need to do something about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a color change. So my tech score is currently still larger than Zorlord's. I have a 2, he has a 1. We have to watch that because if at the end of the game his tech score is higher than mine, he'll beat me even if I do get all of my planets discovered first. So I'm gonna play 1 more instructional round for you guys, and then I will set you off to play. So we're gonna roll the mind dice 1 time again this time. So B5. So once again, I'm gonna find B5 on each of my little tracks and fill them in. B5 and B5. Looking a little tough out here in space. And then we are gonna do some more drafting. All right, so the furthest one from me this time is this little red 1. So Zorlord will definitely take that. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grab this blue 3, but I'm gonna treat it as red, partially to show you how the tech trees work, partially to get some distance going here. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3 to go around these mines using my red. So that was what I did. I chose to use color change so I could advance this track a little further. So now we're gonna roll again. We'll see what we get. Okay, so luckily This is a little further away. Woohoo! So he's gonna take another red one, which I still don't love because he's getting way too close on the red, but what can you do? Sometimes Zorlord just gets you. I'm gonna take this green 2, which will advance me up 2 on the green track. So not bad. Let's roll again. All right, so this time, Zorlord picked up a color change. So he's gonna score for that. And then I get to pick one of these remaining tech dice and see which one I want. I may take, ew, I really like color change. I'm gonna take another color change. Those are always my favorite. They end up being the most useful. But this one would have allowed me to pass through mine. This one would have been extra defense, which is also pretty good. So now Zorlord's current score is 2. Mine is 3. 1, 2, 3 for tech. And now let's roll the last 2 of this round and we'll call it for this particular How to Solo. Okay, so since I'm gonna get to choose between these last 2, I'm taking the 2. I'm giving Zorlord the 1. So Zorlord can go 1. I can go 2. So I'm gonna have to start moving this way on green, hopefully to make a path upwards, but for now I've advanced as far as I can along this path. And so far, this is just what a game of Cosmic Run Rapid Fire looks like. It's actually pretty fast-paced and exciting. It can be a little scary to get attacked. If you're playing with another person, you can choose to attack each other, or you can play a slightly nicer version of the game. And trying to work around these mines is actually pretty challenging. It's good fun. So if you want a roll and write that's a little bit more conflict heavy, where you really feel like you have an opponent, this one is great because most roll and writes are very multiplayer solitaire, but in this one you really do need to be battling against someone, and Zorlord can actually be pretty tough. So I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a roll and write with a little bit more interactivity and with a little bit more attack power, with a little more teeth to it. So yep, this is Cosmic Run Rapid Fire, and I hope that you enjoyed this How to Solo. Happy gaming!